developed it for me. There were several proposals brought to me when I was asking around what we're gonna do about a office for the city manager. One was to build on to City Hall, which would be pretty expensive. I think Mr. Steele can tell you that, it'd be expensive to do that. One was to put the city manager's office in here and move us permanently to Warriors Hall, which I didn't care for that. I think city council belongs in City Hall, that's my opinion. So I suggested to Mr. Steele that we could do this if he would give me a price estimate. And we all have an office here that we.
Well, used to.
Still do as of 5:25 tonight. We don't use them very often. I use mine often enough that we need to keep an office, but I don't think we need 5 different offices. So the proposal was to kick Mr. Blocker out of his office. No. The proposal was.
I won't take it, I'll go down fighting.
The proposal was to take the 3 offices on the right-hand side as you're coming in from the city office, from the mayor's side, and knock out the wall in Mr. Cox's office between him and Mr. Hayes and make that the city manager's suite, which you could have a desk on one side and a conference table on the other side. Leave the Mr. Blocker's office there as a storage area for, they could put the copier in there, and they can put in file cabinets for the city manager and whatever. Then build a wall at the very front where the secretary or receptionist, whatever you want to call the individual, will be behind that wall to receive people going into the offices. I think it'll be classy, it'll be plenty of room, and what we would then do is keep the 2 offices across the way. We'll keep my office for me. No, just kidding. We'll take my office and Mr. Faircloth's office, make one of them an office that anybody can reserve for whatever. If you need to come in and have a meeting with somebody, you just call in to probably the mayor's office and say, I need to reserve this office for a meeting. Then the other office we could use, we put the file cabinets in there to store all the files for all 5 councilmen. So that's the proposal I brought to Mr. Steele, and that's what he has here. So at this point, I will now take any suggestions you have that might change this. I'm not looking for a vote, but if you want to go that way, I will. But I'll open up the conversation right now. Mr. Cox.
I'm a little flustered with this. First I saw this was Saturday when I came up and got my packet. And got this revision, little explanation of the space, because I wasn't even sure what it involved. But I can assure you this, the reference to Mr. Cox's office, there's no dimensions on here, but I can tell you it's a little square cubicle that's 8 by 8. I don't know about the size of Mr. Hayes and Mr. Blocker's, but I don't think theirs is that much bigger than mine. But it's only 8 feet wide, that wall.
So
And I would ask, we need to see some dimensions. There's no dimensions on the drawing. It's a sketch, it's a concept. But I'm not so sure that's what we need to do. And having to, if you're having a one-on-one with constituents and now have to schedule for a little space in City Hall, I'm not so sure that's the way we want to go. I understand the need for a new city manager's office, but understand that wall existing is only 8 feet wide. It's not a very big space. Even if Mr. Cox and Mr. Hayes' spaces were combined, it's still a small space. Thank you.
well, Mr. Steele is quite aware what the dimensions are because he went in there and examined them. But I would ask you, Mr. Cox, this is here, it's a concept and for discussion. So I would ask you what your alternative would be.
I don't have an alternative, but I'm telling you assuredly that my little space is a square cubicle, not as it's depicted on this sketch. Okay, I know the little space I have.
But it's your little space combined with Mr. Hayes' office.
It's still pretty small for a
I'm
city
quite-
manager's
I'm
office.
quite familiar with what it is, but, so,
Well, I'd like to see some dimensions on that.
okay.
I'm not sure that works.
Mr. President.
And, but you don't have any alternative that might work.
I just saw this first off this weekend.
Right, because
And this-
we just went and looked at it the other day, but, so you had no idea at all that we were gonna have to have an office for the city manager and have.
Oh, I
thought
knew
about
it. I was aware of that, but, and a thing floated of, well, council members give up their office space, but I almost thought it was a joke, so, you know, maybe not. But I'm not at all prepared to move forward with this this evening. I would move to table this for further, pending further review. No, we have a need, but I'm not so sure that's it. Thank you.
All right, so you made a motion?
I move to table this.
There's a motion to table, any second?
Second.
Motion to table
Table.
and second. All those in favor?
Mr. President,
Yeah,
question.
wait a
Aye.
minute, discussion, my
Wait
bad.
a minute.
Discussion, go ahead,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Hayes.
And I can understand some of Mr. Cox's thinking on this. But by looking at this, and we know we have to have a place for a city manager, so this is most logical to me. I don't know about the other councilman. I haven't used my office with anybody in the last 3 months. I open it every once in a while, make sure nobody hasn't stuck anything on there. And most of the times when I do have, confer with, one of our city people, constituents, I usually use the hall, the room across there anyway. It's usually vacant unless the auditors in there. Normally, they're the only ones that might be in there from time to time, because it's more space in there. You know, I got 2 chairs in my office, and if I have more than 2 people, then there's nowhere for them to sit them. So I always use the place across the meeting room there, and I think that's most appropriate for us. So like I say, I don't know how many of our councilmen have that many people coming by on a regular basis to see them. I don't need my office, and I don't have any alternative. And if I don't have any alternative, unless somebody's come up with one, then I'm gonna support what we have right now. You know, it's, as far as the space, the only thing about where they're talking about the wall coming out, where we got the copying machine, we might possibly wanna bring it out that away more.
That's what it's gonna be. The wall's
That-
gonna
that's what-
in front of the copying machine.
Okay, and so that makes better, and that's why I couldn't understand Mr. Cox saying about the space, because I thought that's what it was. Maybe the drawing doesn't show that, but, I was figuring that it's coming out.
This
That
new
wall
wall will be in
there.
front of the secretary, but these walls will still be, what Mr. Cox is concerned about is walls to his office back there.
Yeah.
There will be a new wall, but that's not gonna affect.
Like I say, I don't need the office. I don't have any problems, with the office anyway. I'm sure if somebody wants to see me, we can always find adequate space, to meet with them. So I don't have any problems with this. I think any other route that we go is gonna cost more, and it's gonna cost for more structures being built, which we don't have the funds to expand on the city now. I know one time we're trying to see about getting the old YMCA, then nothing's happened with that, which would be an appropriate room for other things, for a city hall, but unless somebody can give me a better alternative, I'm gonna be supporting this, what we have right now.
Thank you. Mr. Cox, go ahead.
Yes, I want to reiterate, my small cubicle is a square. It's not a rectangle as depicted here. And one had asked Mr. Steele for dimensions, particularly of my office and Mr. Hayes' office. We're proposing city manager office because I believe that in actuality, both of those spaces are approximately is only 2/3 of the size of what's at best of what's depicted on this sketch.
Mr. Steele, do you want to address that?
Well, Mr. Cox, I understand your concerns, and remember, this is just a concept. This is an idea that we're looking at, and we first, when we were asked, Ms. Roy and I, along with some other staff members, had a grander idea and approach to having a city manager office space. And I think Mr. Witten had shared some of those ideas with you a little bit. However, taking in consideration that we were trying to maybe in the future have to build a new city hall, and while we're doing all of this other things that we discussed at the last meeting with having a structural engineer look at our buildings and things, we're trying to just compensate our immediate needs by probably or hopefully looking at this approach. And this, Mr. Witten called me and asked me about this idea and asked us to set it down. Well, no, this isn't to scale. However, what Mr. Powell done is he did measure this off, and Mr. Hayes' office is much longer than yours in length, whether you know it or not. His is quite a bit longer in length than yours, as depicted on this drawing. However, this is just a concept and idea, and I can get dimensions, but what I would suggest at this time is to allow Mr. Powell and myself to look at some alternatives within City Hall and bring those back to you at the next meeting with some costs associated with those, and I'll put some I'll go ahead and put measurements on this drawing so you can see them. If you don't mind, allow me to do that, because this is something new. We didn't really have much time to throw things together. I mean, well, we just put this together this morning and last Thursday or last Tuesday. So if I can have council support to do that, let me come back and we may find something that works better than what this is, but keep in mind, any new construction is going to be much more expensive than this. This here will be probably around $5,000 at the most, whereas any new development's going to be $20,000-$30,000, or any new construction, where I have to put a roof on it. It's going to be at least that much, maybe even more.
Thank you. You done, Mr. Cox?
Yes. I got a comment.
Mr. Blocker, go ahead.
When I first looked at this thing and I knew how this developed, since I've been involved with decades, storage is a problem. We don't need another junk room. File cabinets is for storage. But I looked at the area south of the hallway and the feasibility of the floor space that we have available in that wing over there now. There is more adequate floor space on the south side of that hallway than they are on Mr. Hayes and Mr. Cox's office and my office, period. All this thing, but I'll agree with you. I think this needs to be looked at with a different concept. I know what you put together, but I visit my office 2 and 3 times every week. And my wife informed me, hey, you're gonna take your city junk back up to City Hall. I've got a room full. So that storage room is gonna be an office, but I cannot agree with this concept we got right here. I believe there's a better avenue that we can move. And I agree that I think we ought to authorize him and Chuck to see what can be done.
Well, if you don't mind, what I'd like to do, I never brought this to the council as a vote. If you look at the agenda, it says discussion.
Yeah.
Someone
That's
made
what
up,
we're doing.
hang on a minute now.
Yeah.
Someone put a motion on there, but I did not request a motion, discussion, so there really was no reason to make a motion to table it. I didn't intend to have it voted on tonight. I think what we just need to do is to look at it like we've done and have Mr. Steele give the required dimensions that we want and bring it back to the next meeting. In the meantime, if y'all can come up with some alternative solutions that won't cost $50,000, $100,000 or whatever, you know, feel free to do that. But what I would like you, Mr. Cox, I'd like you to withdraw your motion, because if you don't, I think the motion might fail. And if it fails, then we're gonna end up having to vote on it. So it's up to you. But the way I'm reading council right now, we're gonna have 2-2, and when you have a tie, your motion on the table is gonna fail.
I understand that, but there's not a motion to approve it. Wouldn't pass either.
No, the only motion we have on the table right now, we have to act on is your motion to table it. I'm saying that that motion, in my opinion, will fail, so you can leave it on the table or you can withdraw it. It's up to you.
I will withdraw my motion, and it needs further review and a workshop item. But I withdraw my motion.
Okay. And will you withdraw your second, Mr. Blocker?
I will.
Okay, then what we'll do is, we don't have a vote on this, we'll bring it back at the next meeting. I don't know that we need a lot of time in a workshop, but we can put it on. The problem with that is, I don't believe we're gonna have a workshop in December because that's Christmas Day. And we're hiring a new city manager in January. And so probably November would be a good time to act on this. But we'll figure that out.
Mr. President, question.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr.
Whatever we decide or ever how it is, I like to just maybe ask Mr. Steele, and maybe he can't give me a definite time, but maybe a minimum, a maximum time frame for whatever design or concept they go would it take for y'all to do it? Because we're looking at the hiring of and then the placement of, we need to have some.
It would take us about 2 weeks. We could do most of it in 1 week easy, but we're also having to schedule in someone to put in new grids and tile, and the ceiling tiles, and to put in new flooring. That's the biggest thing that I have no control of. So we could build the walls and do the other things real quick, you know, within a week. But I have no control over the contractor that we would bring in to do the ceiling tiles and, you know, and the flooring. So that's the reason I said 2 weeks.
Let me ask you this, do you think we could resolve this at the city council member, meeting in December, rather than trying to schedule a special workshop?
If he has, they got
Do
some
you think we could do that, Mr.
alternatives, or-
Cox, in December, city council meeting?
I'm willing to work on it, but I've got concerns that, I know that wall it's only 8 feet.
Yeah, we've heard the concerns. My question was, do you think we can resolve this by?
I answered that. Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
But, excuse me, I still
Yes.
have the floor.
Yes, I'm sure you do.
I want to reiterate, that's only 8 feet wide.
Okay.
So,
You wanna say
you're
it
looking
again?
at maybe making it a long space, but it's not very wide.
You wanna say it one more time?
And, yes, and I'd like to see the dimensions on it, because I'm gonna put a yardstick on my little
We've
8 by
already
8
decided that.
space. Thank you.
Thank you. We've already decided to bring dimension. Go ahead, Mr. Blocker.
I would like to request, if feasible, that this item of the layout of the city manager office not be placed on the December 10th meeting, because I will be unavailable for that meeting. And I'd like to be in on the discussion, et cetera, and action to take on this issue.
And your recommendation is then what?
Did not be placed on the December 10th.
Mr. President,
Yeah, go ahead, Mr.
in my opinion, and I might be wrong, I think we're looking at time restraint. and I know we're not trying to rush this, at least we're not trying to rush it. But if we don't get it in December, we're looking at January, and you're looking at whoever maybe looking for an office. And it would be embarrassing to me, whoever we, select, and they come here and they don't have an office. They have to live out of their car, so to speak. So that's the only thing that concerns me.
That's a good point, Mr. Hayes. Do you have any suggestion when we do it? Maybe,
Mr. President, I got a suggestion.
I'm good.
okay, Mr. Blocker, you have a suggestion?
We got several conference rooms in this city hall whatsoever, but if it comes to need the office, I don't see any reason why the mayor's council couldn't be the city managers until we could do better.
I'm not sure I'm reading, you're talking about the mayor's conference room,
Yes,
which is smaller than this?
it's almost the size of both of these rooms here.
I don't think so, but, you're saying temporarily, is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Okay.
Here,
I don't think we're gonna make a decision on this tonight, because it's not on the agenda to vote on. Go ahead, Mr. Cox.
Yes, I'd agree with what Mr. Blocker just said. And let's get dimensions. We need dimensions of all those rooms. Thank you.
Okay. We ready to move on?
move.
All right, do you have any comments from the audience on any topic? Yes, sir, come on up.
My name's Tim Bullock. I'm at 78 East River Drive. I was hesitant to comment, but I just couldn't stand it. So, as most of you may know, I have made application for the position of the city manager and have been coming to the meetings. And no matter what you decide on your selection for that position, as somebody who's grown to really have an interest in what's going on here, I would recommend, there were several topics discussed today that really would probably be in the best interest to finalize at the time that you select your city manager. You guys have great opportunity with all the different things that are going on. You're looking at your facilities and you're looking at your code of ordinances, and these are major decisions that, as a potential city manager, I think any of them that you select that are worth their weight will want to do some strategic planning. They're going to want to figure out who does the city of Crestview want to be. And once we determine specifically who we want to be as an organization, then we can make some of those decisions, especially as it relates to things like the code of ordinances. Mr. Whitten made a comment, I think was a wise comment about what is the intent of the ordinance with the itinerant vendor? Is it to regulate or is it to allow them to accomplish it? Because it's written one way. And so all of those things you'll be better able to measure up against a goal or a strategic plan. And so for whatever it's worth, I just thought I would mention that to you. You're very close. You're to the finish line. You guys, I think, closed them today. So you've just got a short period of time, and whoever fills that position, if you make a bunch of changes to your code of ordinance now, adopt it now, and then your strategic plan says you want to be the friendliest city in Okaloosa County or something along that lines, you're going to have to look at all that stuff again. And so I just humbly submit that to you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? If not, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Does anyone need a potty break before we begin the next meeting? Okay, let me get out the right sheet.